Hello, everyone. Once again, I'm going to discuss a clip. This is going to be a little bit different one. Obviously, this is a photograph, but I figured I would just post a typical suspicious night in the nest area. I talk about individual sounds and whether it's percussives or vocalizations, and usually I focus in on just one thing in my videos, but I figured I'd break down like a typical suspicious night, what I would consider suspicious. Um, and usually there are key things that I look for in those nights, and this night has basically all the ingredients. But before I get into the audio, I wanted to show a picture of where the audio was recorded. Uh, this is a photograph I actually took this March. That's a game camera. I'm actually about 30 feet up a tree in my climbing tree stand setting up this game camera, which malfunctioned on me. I could never get the solar panel on top of it to work perfectly right. It would take pictures. It just, the sensor on it, also the trigger, was not triggering as well as it should be. I mean, we were able to set it off when we walked around down here. I have it sighted in right on this edge here. Needless to say, constantly playing with game cameras. But for the past 4 years now, I've had a SM4 located on a tree that's actually behind this tree right along this edge. This is the edge to the main ravine. And it drops down, goes about 50 yards, and then there's another finger ravine that comes down this way and goes down to the main ravine down here. We are where this tree is, where I'm at, is basically the top of the ridge line above the ravine area. So for the large sampling that we did, that Wes is working on with the spreadsheets covering 2021 to 2023, this area was designated Nest Area 1B. And this was where, according to Wes, so far, 58% of our suspect sounds were picked up by this recorder. And they were all, in my opinion, most of them were coming from down in here within the ravine. A few up here along the ravine, in my opinion. But I just wanted to give everyone a glance at what the area looks like, where the recorder was when these sounds were recorded. Just, I always like to have a visual. So we'll go to the sounds. And so what I've done, I've got several clips that I've just spliced together, and I'll talk about each one of them. And of course, my highlighter is not working. It's typical every time I try to use this screen recording, something malfunctions. You can see my cursor. Obviously, what we have here is a power strike. This occurs, this whole night is July 19th of this year. And this is a power strike very close to the recorder at 11:40 p.m. I'll go ahead and play this. I'll stop it. Obviously, it's not a windy night. That pretty much comes out of silence. And there was nothing else going on. I don't have a lot of other animals making noise. There's no canine sounds going on. Actually, the owls were fairly quiet this night, but it was just a very calm, quiet night. That was a intentional strike, and that's a typical thing that I get around there. I really believe they know that recorder's there. Of course, over the last 4 years, they've seen us going in and out of there. We've had experiences there. Me and Shane have actually found tracks on 2 occasions on the trail in, ambiguous tracks, that we're fairly certain are the target subjects. It's the same general area where we cast the track in 2022 that was featured in Eli's series. So we know that spot has some kind of significance for them, and I absolutely believe that they are curious to what we do, and they occasionally, when they're in the area, go by that recorder and they acknowledge it with a knock. That happens a lot, and I've talked about it a lot. This is a typical night, and a lot of times that's all I'll get right there. But occasionally I get more. Um, Next, I have two vocalizations. These are unfiltered. These are the vocals, how they appeared as the recorder recorded them. They're distant, but they're coming from down in the ravine. And their signatures were odd because, like I said, there was not a lot of activity by the known animals in there. And obviously, I've looked at audio from that area multiple hundreds of nights for years now. When I see something out of place, it pops out to me very quickly. And even though these were distant, they popped out. I'll go ahead and play this unfiltered, unamplified clip. Okay. When I first listened to this, I couldn't rule out possible canine. But this has a very guttural quality. It doesn't match up to the canine signatures, nor does this. This really doesn't match up to the canine signatures I normally get in there. It's not to say it couldn't be. You know, sound travels crazy. But the fact that I got that power strike a couple hours beforehand, oh, this occurs at around 3 a.m. And it's been quiet. And that's a typical, a lot of times, just that whole area is quiet except for some unknown sounds. That happens quite a bit. So, you know, I've had a silent night. We've already got a power strike, so I know they're in the area. And then I get these two vocals at 3 a.m. Nothing else. No other animals are making sound. That's a clue that something might be going on. And just these two odd vocals right after each other, and nothing before, nothing after. So here's a looped clip where I have amplified both vocals and filtered it a little bit. Go ahead and let this play. Well, go ahead and stop this. There is something going on here. There's more. There's more going on around this individual. I just, how do I explain this? There's lower vocalizations happening around this individual, and this individual is responding to something. I believe it's only one individual making both of these vocals, and this like guttural grunt type vocal. That's one that I've gotten similar repeatedly on nights when I have the percussives, and that's what I guess I want to stress. If I didn't have any percussives, these vocals would probably mean less to me. They would be suspicious, highly suspicious, and they would go into my suspicious category. But like on the spreadsheet, I'd put them down as ambiguous. Um, but just because the nature of the night. But the fact I got this power strike before that's key. That's a key little clue that something's going on. Uh, I'm fairly certain these are not humans down here, and like I said, I am probably 95% positive these are not canine. But I can never say never, obviously. So after these vocalizations, it's quiet once again. And at 4:50 in the morning, up closer to the recorder, I'll go back a little bit. I believe these vocals occurred down in the ravine because that's where a lot of them come from. And I actually had a recorder down below this recorder for about 8 months in 2022. And I captured a lot down there that was highly suspicious. But now we're back up towards the ridge by the recorder, and I get this. So, on its own, I mean, that could be anything. But there's no wind. It sounds like an intentional branch break, and you hear whatever it is thudding to the ground. Normally, I would not pay much attention to it. But the fact that there's no weather going on, we've got a power strike at the beginning of the night, and then we got these odd vocals in the middle of the night, and here we are, early morning hours. We got this break percussive thud. Typical behavior of our target subjects, in my opinion, and a typical night that would be considered suspicious. Play this whole thing, well, not the whole thing. Go ahead and play all these lined up here. I might fast forward through the looped. But I just wanted to show what I would consider a suspicious night in the nest area at least, but it would be a suspicious night in other areas too. Generally speaking, with my long-term audio, if I'm in all the areas that I do these long-term recordings where I'm recording every night for months and years on end, there generally is not a lot of noise. If the target subjects are in the area, this is the type of stuff that we get. We don't get a lot of vocalizations and we don't get a lot of percussives. Occasionally, we will have a night like Chimp Fit or a night like the Grunt Snort night where there's multiple animals making a lot of noise. This is what I would consider a typical night. Okay. Once again, I hope that's helpful to those out there trying to record and looking for suspicious stuff. And like I said, I'm reviewing a lot of stuff from the spreadsheets over the last couple years, so I'll probably be posting more clips in the near future. Have a great night, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next one.